You leave the room, and your cockatiel notices before the door even closes. It does not know how long you will be gone, but it immediately notices that an important part of the environment has disappeared. For a few seconds, it may simply stare at the place where you went. That silence already says a lot. Its eyes become more alert. The crest changes. It listens to the hallway. Maybe it tilts its head. Maybe it takes a step toward the doorway. You may think it is only curious, but the first sign is more social than it seems. Your cockatiel is checking whether you are still part of that space. Not with words, with attention. And that attention often comes before the first call. Then you hear a short sound, not a long scream, a quick call, and immediately afterward, silence. That pause is the part most people miss. Your cockatiel calls, then stops. It is listening, waiting for some sign in return. Maybe your voice, maybe your footsteps, maybe the familiar sound of a door. Cockatiels use contact calls to stay connected with members of their social group. When someone disappears from sight, sound can reduce uncertainty. Inside your home, you may fill that social role. That is why the call can happen even when there is no danger. Your cockatiel does not need to be panicking. It may simply not know where you are, and the sound becomes a bridge. You answer from another room. Your cockatiel stops calling for a few seconds. That matters because the goal may not be to make you come back immediately. It may simply be to confirm that you are still there. That detail changes the entire interpretation. Not every call means your bird misses you. Sometimes it is excitement. Sometimes boredom. Sometimes fear. That is why you need to read the body too. A rigid crest changes the meaning. Rapid breathing changes the meaning. Repetitive, restless movement changes the meaning. But a short call followed by attentive listening tells a different story. The body may remain relatively calm. Your cockatiel is not desperately running around. It is checking. It looks toward the hallway. It listens. It calls again. Then it waits. That pattern looks less like panic and more like contact. The difference is small but important. Now watch what happens when you stay away a little longer. Your cockatiel may move to another perch. It may choose a place with a better view of the doorway. It may stand a little taller. It may stop eating for a few seconds. Your bird is collecting clues. The sounds of the house become information. Footsteps, keys, a distant voice, a chair moving. Your cockatiel begins associating those signals with you. You become a predictable sequence. And when that sequence disappears, your bird notices. This is not just imagination. It is learning. And learning changes expectation. Your absence starts to have a pattern, and your return does too. That is part of the foundation of the bond. Then something even more interesting happens. You begin answering from another room. You do not rush back. You do not ignore your bird completely. You simply speak calmly. Your cockatiel calls. You answer. Then comes silence. It hears your voice. The crest may soften slightly. The body may become less tense. Maybe it goes back to eating. Maybe it starts playing again. Maybe it simply stays on the same perch. That change is the clue. You have not physically returned yet, but your voice has already changed your cockatiel's behavior. That tells you the social connection can continue even without visual contact. You do not have to be standing in front of your bird to still matter socially. And this is the emotional turning point. Your cockatiel is actively maintaining the connection. It is not an object sitting there waiting for you to reappear. It participates in the relationship. It searches for clues. It checks whether you respond. It compares sounds. It recognizes patterns. And it changes its own behavior based on what happens. Your cockatiel is relating to you too. Once you see that, the call stops sounding like random noise. It begins to sound more like a question. Are you still there? Not in the exact human sense, but as a social check, a way to reduce distance, a way to restore predictability. And when your answer works, the body shows it. Less tension, less searching, more normal behavior. That is the bond in action. Now watch the reunion. You return to the room. Your cockatiel notices before you even speak. The eyes change. The crest may rise slightly. The body leans toward you. Maybe you hear a different call. Maybe your bird moves quickly along the perch. Maybe it wants to step onto your hand. Those signs are easy to notice, but the most important sign comes afterward. After the excitement, after the approach, after the first contact, your cockatiel relaxes, the feathers soften, it starts eating again, it begins preening. Maybe it rests on one foot, and many owners misread this completely. You may think, it did not care that much. But the calm may actually be the response. While you were away, your cockatiel was monitoring the environment. After you return, it does not need to monitor as much. Your return restores predictability, and the body shows that, not with a celebration, with relaxation. That is the quiet sign people often miss. Your bird does not need to call anymore. It does not need to search. It does not need to keep checking the doorway. Because the missing part of the environment is back, you. This does not prove one specific human emotion, but it does reveal a real change in your cockatiel's state, and the context makes that clear. Searching before, calm afterward. That sequence tells a story. So, what does your cockatiel feel when you leave the room? There is no single answer for every bird, but there is a pattern worth watching. Your cockatiel notices your absence. It looks for clues. It may call. It listens. It waits for a response. And it reorganizes its behavior when you return. That sequence is what matters. Not one sound, not one gesture, the whole pattern. Your bird may be trying to keep the social connection active even when it cannot see you. And once you understand that, the call begins to mean something different. The next time you leave the room, observe before reacting. Listen to the pause. Watch the body. Notice what changes when you answer and what changes when you return. And tell me in the comments which behavior from your cockatiel surprised you the most.